Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. And for the first time since the 2004 season, the Philadelphia Eagles are 4-0 to begin the 2022 campaign. They are the last remaining unbeaten team in the National Football League after a marvelous comeback against Doug Pederson and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Appreciate all of you for tuning in, no matter where you are or how you're watching. Greatly appreciate all of you for supporting Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we had so many people tune in to our watch party, a lot of new subscribers, so we're really showing them what we bring to the table. Daily videos on the Philadelphia Eagles, news, rumors, analysis, breaking news, live shows, and watch parties. So to everybody who is subscribed to the channel, thank you so much for your support. For a kid coming from the Philadelphia area, absolutely awesome to see the movement on Philadelphia Eagles now and to see this football team begin the 2022 campaign at 4-0. So really, just want to pass along some of my takeaways from this football game as the Eagles hop into an early 14-0 deficit as the rain was coming down at Lincoln Financial Field. The remnants from Hurricane Ian really playing a factor in this football game early. And I actually like that the Eagles started off in a 14-0 deficit because if you think about it, right, what do elite teams do in the National Football League? Throughout the course of an NFL season, in a game of parity in which a lot of games are decided by one score or less, you have to face adversity. And in week one, the Eagles faced a little bit of adversity against the Detroit Lions. They take that sizable lead going into the fourth quarter. Detroit able to come back, but you escape with the 38-35 win. Week two, they were so dominant against the Minnesota Vikings, led by an explosion in that second quarter. And then last week, once again, they went off in the second quarter, and they dominated Carson Wentz and the Washington Commanders with 9 sacks throughout the afternoon. And what was the theme once again? That's been the theme throughout this year. Those second quarter really impressive showings for the Eagles on both sides of the ball. So I wanted to see the Eagles face a little bit of adversity, and they did. Things went against them early in this football game. As on the first drive of the game offensively, Jalen Hurts throws that pick six. The second drive, they stall out. And on both occasions, the Jaguars are able to capitalize, and that's why they go up by 2 scores. But falling into a 2-0 hole, things working against them, the Eagles were able to come back in this game and score 29 unanswered points. And what I really liked about it is the well-rounded effort that we haven't necessarily seen from this football team in the first 3 games leading up to this matchup. They had gone off in the second quarter. They had been absolutely dominant in the second frame. But in this game, they had to play all 4 quarters, and that's what the Eagles were able to do. All led by Miles Sanders on this ground game. I thought that Miles Sanders was fantastic. You look at the numbers that he put up in this game. And this is why I continue to show faith in Miles Sanders, because today, in muddy, slippery, wet, sloppy conditions, he had, I thought, one of the more impressive games in his Eagles career. We've seen the pop plays from Miles Sanders, but today we saw the consistency from Miles Sanders. 27 carries, 134 yards, 5 yards per touch, and 2 touchdowns with a long of 35. And this is with Sua Opeta and Jack Driscoll replacing Isaac Seumalo and Jordan Mailata along this offensive line. And then you just talk about the overall team dominance for Philadelphia today in front of their home crowd. It looked to have gotten off to a really rocky start, and then they ended this game extremely strong. Let's take a look at the overall dominance for the Eagles today, moving to 4-0 on the year with this 29-21 win. 25 first downs to Jacksonville's 13. They had 8 passing first downs, 14 rushing first downs as compared to 3 for Jacksonville. They also had 77 total plays to Jacksonville's 46. They dominated time of possession. Total yards, 401 to 219. And the drives weren't that dissimilar. 12 for the Eagles, 11 for Jacksonville. Yards per play, 5.2. Passing yards, 191 to 148 in a game leading up to it that had a really good quarterback matchup between Trevor Lawrence as well as Jalen Hurts, but the Jags turned it over 5 times. Hurts threw that pick 6, which was bad, but I thought he outplayed Trevor Lawrence in this football game. 210 rushing yards to just 71. And that's really a big talking point in this game. Why? Because Jacksonville, through 3 weeks in the regular season, had the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL. And I thought that the Eagles totally ran it right down their throat and inserted their dominance in this game. Now, I want to shift to the defense right after this. First, though, I want you to grade the Eagles' performance today, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm giving them an A effort, from the coaching adjustments to them facing adversity and overcoming that said adversity to dominate this football game, and the all-around performance that we saw from the offense to the defense to special teams. Let me know what you think about the Birds' performance today, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going with A. To the defensive side of the rock right now, the defense, Jonathan Gannon, he deserves props. And Nick Sirianni has continued to stay with Jonathan Gannon. And the last 3 games, they've been really good, folks. Minnesota, Washington, and against the Jaguars. This is 3 straight games in which they have displayed a pass rush, in which they have been good in coverage with Darius Slay out early. James Bradbury continues to be a phenomenal pickup, had an interception today. But really, it's the pass rush that's so notable. TJ Edwards notched a sack after the Eagles had 9 last week. But really, let's first talk about Haason Reddick here. Haason Reddick, 2 sacks today against the Jaguars. And in his last 2 games, after getting off to a slow start, he has compiled 3.5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. You talk about good money being spent, that's good money being spent from Howie Roseman and Philadelphia. Not only him, Jordan Davis was playing a lot today. TJ Edwards has been playing excellent football. A couple of the other free agent acquisitions. James Bradbury has that pick. Kaiser White was really good on some of those routes that went out to the flat. This is why, folks, Howie Roseman deserves a lot of credit. Now, for the good vibes only train, we're on the good vibes only train right now because the Eagles are 4-0. And to start this game, things were a little bit hairy. But if you join into our watch party, we had confidence that the Eagles were going to be able to come back in this football game. If you're pumped up about this football team and you're excited about this 4-0 start, I want you to type, "Go Birds!" in the comments section. And as you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now, we were able to pick up several hundred new subscribers. Continue to lock us in, stay in the know with videos every single day on the Philadelphia Eagles by hitting that red subscribe button down below. Another point that I want to make. If you joined us for our pregame show, I had told you, keys going into the game, because the conditions were going to be a little bit sloppy. Let's go BetUS after this, Trace. And because the conditions were going to be wet, and because the pill was going to be slippery, you had to force turnovers. The Eagles with 5 of them. And this is after Jalen Hurts had thrown that pick 6. And that really took the Jaguars out of their really comfort zone and their momentum zone. And this is an Eagles defense that the last 3 weeks has won the turnover battle. And when you win the turnover battle in the National Football League, you win 80% of your games. Today's sponsor for our postgame show, it is our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Do you want a free Philadelphia Eagles jersey? Well, listen closely. If you head to chatsports.com/EaglesBet and you enter the promo code Eagles125, you get a 125% deposit bonus. You put in $100, you get $125 back in free money. And if you do that by heading to chatsports.com/EaglesBet and you enter the promo code Eagles125 and you sign up and deposit $100 or more, you get $125 in free money back. You make your first bet. You have to make that bet. And then you email us, jersey@chatsports.com, letting us know that you followed all these steps. And then we will send you a free Philadelphia Eagles jersey coming from us, but we get them from Fanatics. We're going to get back to everybody. Don't worry about it. If you email us, we'll get back to you. No worries there. But follow all these steps right here. Screenshot it if you have to, and we'll get you hooked up with a free Philadelphia Eagles jersey. Some other notes that I have to get to before we start taking your questions here during our postgame show. Nick Sirianni went for it a ton on 4th down. And a lot of people can look at that as a risk. A lot of people can look at that as something that might burn him at some point, and it very well might. Why I like it, you stay aggressive. You put your pedal to the floor, and you show no fear against your opponent. But also, it shows faith in your football team. And that's what I really, really like. The Eagles able to capitalize on a couple of really certain situations, especially off turnovers. That was a big key in this game. And good teams, as I said a little bit earlier, they erase deficits. They're able to come back from some of these holes. This is the National Football League that we're talking about. You're going to go down. And the Eagles so far this year haven't been down. Today they were down, and they were able to come back in a fury. Trevor Lawrence, he took strides in the first 3 games from last year to this year, but I thought this Eagles defense really confused him. He thought that he had Christian Kirk out to that far sideline, and then James Bradbury able to make that pick. The Eagles defense, led by Jonathan Gannon, able to confuse him a little bit. TJ Edwards, let me give him a shout out. Is this the best linebacker that we've been talking about since Nigel Bradham on this football team? This guy has really good awareness. This guy has really good instincts and is a very good tackler. Have to give a shout out to TJ Edwards. I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I didn't. Miles Sanders, great game. Jordan Mailata, Darius Slay, Devontae Smith, Isaac Seumalo, Jake Elliott. Those are 6 injuries that we're going to have to continue to monitor going into week 5 next week against the Arizona Cardinals. And then, really, at the end of the day, this is an all-around dominant performance from the Philadelphia Eagles that I thought was impressive in a couple of ways. Lou G with the $5 Super Chat as we begin to take your questions here. Saints loss and the Eagles pickups over the Saints. Howie Roseman, great offseason, and he continues to have a really good offseason. I mean, you saw it reap immediate dividends today. A.J. Brown had 95 yards receiving. Kaiser White was really good. Haason Reddick was phenomenal. These are the types of moves that you need to make if you want to be a Super Bowl contender. You have to hit on your draft picks. Jordan Davis playing a lot today. You have to hit on your free agency acquisitions and then continue to develop some of your players. Eagles putting checks along all sides of those. Potion, my voice is shot and I still got a record, but what a win. Booby Miles Sanders was absolutely fantastic in this football game. As we continue to really progress in our post-game show and round out everything, I want you to all say it with me because we got to give you the Fly, Eagles, Fly anthem. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Fight, Eagles, fight. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. Trees with this. It's awesome seeing us win in so many different ways. And that was a huge point that I made throughout this postgame show. Week 1, you win in a shootout. Week 2, you have that second quarter explosion. Week 3, 9 sacks against Carson Wentz after the first 2 weeks in which you generated only 2 sacks. And the offensive defense started to complement each other a little bit. Today, though, 14-0 deficit, 29 unanswered points. You forced 5 Jaguars turnovers. The defense had to come to play. Haason Reddick led the charge. The offense, during sloppy, bad conditions, they did their thing. And against the number 1 run defense in the NFL, the Eagles were completely dominant. To show love to Jalen Hurts, who I thought rebounded after a slow start, type those ones in the chat. Type ones for Jalen Hurts because he continues to be one of the more bona fide MVP candidates in this league with the only unbeaten team in the National Football League, the Eagles, 4-0. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to our watch party, to our post-game show. We out. Appreciate all of you.